Tonight on Mississippi Insight, crime on the rise. Jackson, more than halfway to 100 homicides. Now officers will be getting a new tool, body cams. It's not just about transparency. Also, the 3 candidates running for Hinds County DA, how they plan to deal with the crime crisis. And the independent mayor, July6, tells us how he's working to turn around Vicksburg and how he's doing it his way. Hello and welcome to Mississippi Insight. I'm Byron Brown. Thank you for joining us. We begin with the crime crisis. At least 2 more deadly shootings on the streets of Jackson as the city rolls out body cams. The new tools could be available as soon as next week. But the crime problem isn't just in the capital city. It's impacting the metro area. And there are several different approaches to dealing with it. I'm here with WJTV 12's Gerald Harris, and joining us is Jackson City Councilman Aaron Banks, and from Rankin County, the sheriff from the past 8 years, Brian Bailey. Well, Councilman Banks, let's talk about the body cam program rolled out this week. It's just not just about transparency in cases of police shootings, but officers are responsible for turning on those cameras as well. Is there concern that they may not turn them on all the time?
Well, yes, of course there's grave concern, but you know, these tools are going to be, you know, very good for police accountability. However, you know, the biggest concern is that we can't just receive tools to get our way out of the problem of crime. We have to, first of all, be able to compensate and pay our officers a livable wage. And for us to be the capital city, for officers starting off at $25,000, that's just not going to cut it.
And you're not just talking out of the side of your neck. You've been in this position, former police officer. Talk to us from that perspective and what officers face day to day. Well,
you know, officers, not only do they put their lives on the line, but, you know, officers have a whole lot of stress and just financial stress, you know, the things that they go on with their own personal lives, you know, and to sometimes not feel like they're getting support from their capital city, you know, it's a sad thing. And, you know, I think that we have to do a better job as the legislative part of the body of the city of Jackson to begin to make sure, you know, that we are paying a livable wage to our police officers.
And Sheriff, you guys deal with dash cams in some of your patrol cars, is that correct?
Yes, the ones on patrol have the digital video cameras in their vehicles.
And how does that help or as a tool to fight crime? And do body cameras and dash cams make a difference?
Yeah, of course they make a difference. And of course we've been looking at body cameras, but you know, everybody, you know, wants to, a couple of years ago everybody's saying, you know, get body cameras, but there's a whole lot more that you can go out and buy the camera, you know, right now, throw it on the officer. But the problem that you have is that for accountability, you have to make it where that officer can't stop the recording or can't delete a recording off of it. And we have the same problem with our in-car cameras, is that we have all this data that's collected. We can't delete it. And nobody at the sheriff's office can delete a video off a dash camera. So it's stored. Well, eventually, whatever you're storing in is going to fill up. And my problem with right now, the body cameras is I have 106 deputies. If all of them have a body camera on and it's recording, all this data's going down. Number one, who's going to pay to store it? I'm going to have to pay to store it. And when I need it for court, I'm going to have to hire somebody just to go back in and retrieve the data for court.
Mm-hmm. So that's the disadvantage of having the
right.
camera.
It's not so simple as buying a camera and using it. Yeah, it's a great idea. You know, we're eventually going to go to it, but we have to find the best solution for Rankin County for it.
Does it hold the officers or the public accountable if they know they're being recorded? Do you believe that to be the case?
I think it holds both more accountable. And actually, when the cameras first came out, I loved, when I was working narcotics is when the cameras first came out, the little miniature cameras, and I loved video cameras, of course. When I, you know, of course, if you know you're being recorded, you're going to act a totally different way. But also you could, you know, read the rights. You could get a confession to a murder or a burglary or anything like that on that camera that could make or break the case right there in the heat of the moment when you first arrest somebody or interviewing somebody. So, I mean, I think it's a great tool for evidence. So, I mean, it's definitely something that's needed.
And I think you make an interesting point when you say who's going to pay for all of this. You know, we have 82 counties, I believe, 82 different departments, things of that nature. Jackson has been fortunate to get match grants in many of those things, but the financial cost, that's a big thing with many of these sheriff's departments.
Well, not only with the sheriff's office, but you look, you know, in Rankin County, we're blessed. You know, I have a decent budget. I have asset forfeiture money, which I buy a lot of things like that, the extra things with. But what I also would like to see is for law enforcement statewide to have a uniform SOP on these body cameras. Everybody go with the same SOP. Preferably, let's get some state and federal grant. Let's let the state and federal feds kick in. Let's have a statewide data storage and let the state keep up with it. With the video and buy the cameras for us. I think that'd be a great idea for everybody to be on the same page.
Councilman Banks, the city of Jackson is over 50 homicides right now. We're almost halfway through the year. You're proposing some new ideas to deal with fighting crime. What are some things you're looking at?
Yeah, I'm introducing an ordinance actually today at work session. And this ordinance, it basically is a mandatory sentence for parents. The first offense, if a juvenile, if a child is caught in possession of a handgun or commits a crime with a handgun, then that parent or that guardian will face a mandatory 24 hours in jail and pay a mandatory $500 fine. And it goes up after the third offense. I think it's 72 hours mandatory in jail and $2,500 fine. Listen, when I was growing up, there was no such thing as locking the door in my house. My dad would actually come in and flip my mattresses, and I think that this is something to begin to have parents to begin to be nosy and helping to bring the accountability where the accountability should be.
And the problem is that the parents don't know what the kids are doing. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. I have 3 kids, that are in the house with me. I look at them on Instagram. I check them out on Facebook. And parents need to be involved in their children's life. And not just from the standpoint of when good things are going on, but we parents, have to do a better job with parenting. And I think that that's something legislatively that we can accomplish with this new ordinance.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we'll spend a few more minutes with our panel when we come back.